Today we're going to teach you how to mount and label artwork for the art show. Mounting means that you are gluing your artwork to a larger piece of paper so there is a 2-inch border around it, and we put our label in the bottom right hand corner. We make sure there's a little bit of space around our label. I'm going to do this example on white paper, but you'll probably use black. The first thing we need to do is measure the size of our art. We have two different types of rulers in the art room, one where the 0 is represented as a mark and one where 0 is represented as the edge of the ruler. If you can't tell the difference, let me know and we will figure it out. First we'll measure the width of the artwork and then write that measurement down. Then we'll measure the height of the artwork and write that measurement down too. We then have to add 4 inches to each of these measurements to figure out how big our mount should be. It's best to use the paper cutter to get your mount to the right size. There is a ruler along the top and also a ruler along the bottom. Each of these gridded squares represents a ½ inch. You're going to need to lift the cutter arm, slide your mounting paper underneath the guide, align it with the vertical measurement, hold it very tightly with your left hand while you cut with your right hand. I like to do this closer to my body so I don't have to lean over, aligning it with the vertical and horizontal lines. When you pull the arm down, if you pull it towards you a little bit, it'll cut more smoothly. Then rotate your paper and repeat the same process, making sure it's aligned in both the horizontal and vertical lines. Now that your mat is cut, use this 2-inch border guide that I created for you to mark the corner where your piece of artwork is going to get glued down. Make sure the bottom of your artwork is aligned with the bottom of the guide. You can tap it against the table to make sure that it's aligned tightly. Mark the corner of your 2-inch border with a pencil so that you can erase it later. Then you're going to rotate your paper so that you are marking the diagonally opposing corner. You could just mark all 4 corners, but I find that marking only 2 opposing corners works well. Use a newspaper to prevent getting glue stick all over your nice clean mat. An X through the middle and all along the edges should be enough. Line your artwork up with your 2 dots that you made and your artwork should be right in the middle of the paper. Step back and make sure that the piece isn't crooked before you secure any loose areas. Securing loose areas can be done by lifting up the edge and adding more glue, pressing it really hard, and then maybe adding a book on top for weight and letting the piece of art sit weighted underneath that book for a little bit of time while you make your label. We use standard address labels for our artwork. We put our name, our class, and our trimester or semester on our labels. And then we put the label in the bottom right-hand corner of the mount. We make sure it's nice and straight and that there's room around the label so it's not touching the art or the mount. Have a heavy board like this which won't stick to a mounting paper, just get a 4x4 inch piece of black cardstock, take your label and put it in the bottom 2 inches of it, and then we'll stick it to the back of the heavy board in the bottom right hand corner so that it shows below the artwork. Make sure that the label remains straight and that you use enough tape to thoroughly secure it to the back of the board. If you have a sculpture, something that's freestanding, you take another 4x4 inch piece of cardstock, fold it in half, and then you put your label right on the front of that, and it will sit next to your sculpture like a little tent.